What if the monarchy's most explosive act didn't come from a scandalous affair or a leaked memoir, but from a father slamming the door on his own son? That's exactly what just happened behind the iron gates of Buckingham Palace. And it all began with a simple, polite request, or so it seemed. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The letter was elegant, handwritten, sealed in cream stationery, addressed to His Majesty King Charles III. On the outside, it bore nothing but formality and respect. But inside, it held words sharp enough to cut through centuries of tradition and personal enough to rip a family to shreds. Meghan Markle wanted something. Not for herself this time. No, not directly. She wanted recognition for her daughter, little Lilibet, a royal title, a position in the line of succession, a place, at last, among the monarchy she once turned her back on. But what she got in response was an iron-fisted rejection, a ban, and something far darker. Because King Charles didn't just say no, he cut them off completely. No communication, no compromise, no contact. He severed the final threads that connected Harry and Meghan to the crown, not in front of cameras, not in a statement to the press, but in private. Swift, surgical, cold. And why? That's what the world is now asking. Why would a grandfather deny his own granddaughter a place in his lineage? Why would a father banish his own son with no room for reconciliation? And what, exactly, was written in that letter? Stick with me, because the deeper we dig into this story, the more explosive it becomes. There are rumors of DNA tests, veiled threats, Queen Elizabeth's secret final wishes, and even an underground media war already in motion. But before we uncover those details, let's rewind for a moment. To understand how we got here, it all started when Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal life in 2020, what many dubbed Megxit. They claimed they wanted peace, privacy, and independence. But even then, something didn't sit right. Why keep the royal titles? Why monetize their royal status? Why, after all the bridge burning, did they still want recognition, especially for their children? At first, it was subtle. Then came the interviews. Oprah, Spotify, Netflix, books, podcasts. One after another, each more revealing, more damaging, more calculated. Then, the birth of their daughter, Lilibet Diana, in California. A name soaked in legacy. Lilibet, Queen Elizabeth's private childhood nickname. Diana, Harry's late mother. It was a name that begged for acceptance into the royal fold, but from the very moment it was announced, insiders say, it caused a chill to pass through Buckingham Palace. Why? Because it felt strategic, almost manipulative. As if naming their daughter after the Queen wasn't an act of homage, but a demand, a branding decision, a power move. Still, the royal family kept quiet, at least publicly, until now. Because Meghan's letter didn't just ask for recognition. It demanded inclusion. It referenced precedents, hinted at legal routes, and made it clear Meghan believed Lilibet was owed her rightful spot in the royal line. And here's the twist. Had Charles quietly accepted the request, the public might never have known. But he didn't. And now everything is unraveling. Insiders report that King Charles was visibly shaken after reading the letter. He was alone when he received it. No aides present. No Camilla. Just the king, the letter, and a decision. It wasn't just about titles. It was about control. And for Charles, the timing was unacceptable. The monarchy had already suffered enough blows. The Queen's death, Prince Andrew's disgrace, public distrust, and the never-ending Sussex chaos. Another compromise? Another concession? Not this time. One palace insider leaked a chilling quote from the king himself. "If I give them this, they'll never stop. I won't have the crown dragged into their circus." And just like that, with a single phone call, Charles issued what may go down as the most ruthless royal order of his reign. Cut them off. Completely. No future titles. No invitations. No communications. And it didn't stop there. Sources claim Charles told staff to scrub all future plans that included Harry and Meghan. Royal calendars were restructured. Security access updated. Lilibet's name, once quietly penciled into a potential royal guest list for future events, erased. The gates closed. The phones went dead. And behind the scenes, a deeper storm was brewing. Because Meghan hadn't expected this. Not from Charles. Not so soon after the Queen's passing. She believed her timing was perfect, a new king looking to modernize, heal old wounds, and unify the royal family. Instead, she hit a wall, and it was thicker, colder, and more calculated than ever before. Which raises a painful question. Why did Charles react so forcefully? Was it purely duty? Or something else? Rumors are swirling, and they're ugly. Some claim there are sealed DNA results Charles had access to. Others suggest private information from Queen Elizabeth's final will may have influenced his decision. And one particularly haunting theory alleges that Charles had uncovered inconsistencies surrounding Lilibet's birth, prompting him to act with absolute caution. We'll get into those claims later. But what's undeniable is this. Charles's decision was emotional, personal, and final. Even Prince William, once seen as a quiet mediator, reportedly backed the move. According to royal correspondence, William believes Lilibet's inclusion in the line of succession would muddy the waters and further divide public loyalty. And yet, through all this, the silence from Meghan and Harry's camp has been deafening. No tweets, no statements, no Oprah-style interviews. Why? Because this isn't a PR war anymore. It's something bigger. Something that's left Meghan visibly rattled, according to close friends. She's been stunned by Charles's reaction. She believed they had leverage, public sympathy, media dominance, and global fame. But what she didn't expect was that Charles had a breaking point. And now he's crossed it. And here's the part that should scare Meghan's team most. When Charles shut the door, he didn't just close it quietly. He locked it and threw away the key. Now the question becomes, how will Meghan respond? Because you can bet this isn't over. She's been cornered before, and each time, she's fought back harder. With interviews, documentaries, podcasts, and carefully timed leaks. Is a Netflix special already in the works? Is a new book on the horizon? Has Meghan already weaponized this moment? There's a reason we're hearing whispers about an upcoming media project titled, My Daughter, the Forgotten Royal. But here's what we haven't talked about yet, and what changes this story from dramatic to truly explosive. There may be something in the Queen's will that directly contradicts Charles's decision. And worse, there may be video evidence that pushed Charles over the edge, footage that's never been seen publicly, showing Meghan speaking about the royal family in a way that, if leaked, could permanently destroy any hope of reconciliation. That's not speculation. That's what one palace source, who's worked closely with both William and Charles, claims is sitting in a secure archive right now. Still locked away, still unseen. And yet, its existence changes everything. Because it means Charles's reaction wasn't just personal. It was protective. Of the crown. Of his mother's legacy. Of his own son's memory. But what did Meghan say? Why did Charles react so swiftly? And what secrets are still hidden in the shadows? That's where we're headed next. And the road only gets darker from here. Because the letter was just the beginning. What came next would change everything. And no one saw it coming. What could possibly be written in a single letter that would bring the entire royal household to a standstill? Not a tabloid headline. Not a bombshell interview. Not even a Netflix documentary. Just ink on paper. Meghan's pen. Her words. Her intention. And yet, that letter, delivered quietly through diplomatic channels, bypassing aides and protocol, landed on King Charles's desk like a grenade wrapped in velvet. And when it detonated, it didn't just shatter the peace. It blew open a family divide so deep, even the Queen's death hadn't reached it. The question isn't just what was in the letter. It's why now? And why did King Charles, known for his long-winded patience, his cautious diplomacy, and his endless desire to protect the monarchy's image, finally snap? Let's break it down. The date was discreet. Late evening. A courier arrived, unmarked vehicle, plain clothes. Security verified, fingerprints matched. This wasn't some paparazzi game. This was royal-level confidentiality. The envelope bore no insignia, no Montecito postmark, no royal wax seal. But Charles knew the handwriting. He recognized it instantly. The flourished M, the sharp slant, the modern loops. Meghan Markle. She hadn't written to him in months. Not since the last fallout. And for a moment, perhaps, a fleeting moment, Charles hoped the letter was a peace offering, a bridge, an attempt to rebuild what had been reduced to scorched earth. But then he read it. We're told the first line was warm, the second, calculated. By the third, his hand was shaking. The tone wasn't accusatory. It was composed. Too composed. It oozed a strategic softness, the kind that disarms you just enough to make the blow sting worse. In the letter, Meghan didn't apologize for the past. She didn't address Oprah, the Spotify breakup, the book deals, the passive-aggressive interviews, or the ever-growing public rift. She bypassed all of it. She went straight to the ask. Recognition for Lilibet. Inclusion in the official line of succession. A royal title. Something ceremonial, of course, no pressure, no obligations. Just a name. Princess Lilibet Diana of Sussex. That's what she wrote. Calmly, clearly, without blinking. Not a demand, exactly, but not a humble request either. She couched it in progressive language. Talked about unity, healing, the power of reconciliation, the symbolic importance of accepting Lilibet into the royal line. Especially now, in the modern age. She quoted press headlines praising Charles's efforts to modernize the crown, then added, almost as a footnote, "Our daughter deserves a place in that modern vision." And just like that, the fuse was lit. Here's what Meghan didn't expect. She didn't expect Charles to be alone. She didn't expect him to be reading it without advisors around to dilute his rage. She didn't know he'd been having second thoughts about their continued proximity to the institution, even in name only. And most of all, she didn't know he had already decided to draw the line. Because while Meghan was writing her letter, Charles had been reviewing royal family protocols with the Privy Council. Quietly, privately, preparing. He hadn't yet announced it, but the wheels were in motion. A restructured line of succession protocol that would prioritize proximity, physical presence, and service, not just birthright. A modern monarchy, yes, but not a blurred one. And Meghan's letter? It was the perfect trigger. Imagine the setting. The palace lights dim. A storm building outside. Charles, alone in his study, reading the letter again and again. His tea gone cold. His silence thick enough to suffocate. Sources say he said nothing for over 20 minutes. Just stared. Then, calmly, he pressed a button on his desk. Security was instructed to tighten access on all communication with the Sussexes. He didn't speak to William. Not yet. He didn't ask Camilla for her thoughts. He didn't even notify the Prime Minister's liaison. He simply gave one order. No response. No reply. We move forward without them. And then, the next day, the rest of the palace found out. Aides scrambled. Legal advisors checked constitutional implications. The Royal Communications Office prepped contingency statements in case anything leaked. But nothing could prepare them for what came next. Because Meghan's letter didn't just contain an ask. It contained an attachment. And this is where the story takes its first terrifying turn. There were 2 pages clipped to the back of Meghan's letter. One was a series of legal precedents, examples of past royals who had been included in the line of succession despite distance, controversy, or relocation. But the second? It was a photocopy of something no one expected. A letter, written, it seems, by Queen Elizabeth II herself. Or so Meghan claimed, dated shortly after Lilibet's birth. Written in a tone only a grandmother could possess. Kind, gentle, curious, possibly warm. The letter appeared to reference Meghan and Harry's daughter by name. And more shockingly, it contained a sentence that made Charles's blood run cold. If she is to carry my name, let her carry it with pride. Let her never doubt her place in this family. Now hold on. There's a massive problem here. Because the palace has no record of this letter. None. And yet, here it was, copied and presented as part of Meghan's request. Which begs the question, was it authentic? And if so, why had it been hidden? Or worse, was it forged? A fake? A masterfully created emotional trap? We don't know. Not yet. And neither did Charles. All he saw was a direct challenge. One that couldn't be dismissed quietly. And that's when it happened. The ban. Behind closed doors, Charles